Okay, and let me introduce to you our speakers for this first session this morning with a great session on strategies for reaching your goals. Elaine Brazeau-Matois is a trainer she runs the research administration training programs at Weill Cornell Medicine. She has 10 years of experience in education. Teaching is her passion, and she has found it to be an exciting journey. She presently offers many educational learning courses to research administrators at Weill Cornell Medicine, and there are more programs in the pipeline. You can find her also writing articles for Incura magazine. She's had a couple of articles just recently that have been published, so I encourage you to go and find those articles and read them. She enjoys reading books and listening to podcasts on professional development strategies, teaching vinyasa yoga on her mat, and talking about big emotions with her great big 4-year-old daughter, who I'm sure has very big emotions. 4-year-olds have big emotions and big personalities at that age. And then we also have Melanie Heibel. And Melanie has 14 years of research administration experience. She currently serves the University of Wisconsin-Madison community as training and organizational development manager, designing and developing learning opportunities and educational resources for research administrators. She serves as chair of the National Council of University Research Administrators Professional Development Committee, or as we lovingly call it, the PDC. And she contributes as an author for Incura magazine in training tips. And I would encourage you to take a look at those, and so that we can learn from one another on what we can do to enhance training in our organizations. She's passionate about education, outreach, customer service, and workplace wellness. So I welcome both of you, and we're looking forward to your session this morning.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that very nice introduction. It's my pleasure this morning to be here with Melanie to be presenting our professional development presentation on strategy to reach your goals. And Melanie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say good morning, everyone, from snowy Wisconsin, where it's currently -9 degrees. Feels like -16. So I'm going to pretend I'm in Florida. I know not everyone here is in Florida, but let's pretend we're all there today. Before we dive into our content and slides this morning, I want to just wish everyone a belated Happy New Year. We're just a few weeks from that big new year, and we're going to be talking about goals today. And so I wanted to just kind of ask folks how you feel about New Year's resolutions. I'm a big New Year's resolution maker. Actually, I'm a big resolutions person in general. To be honest, I make New Year's resolutions. I make monthly resolutions. I wake up and make daily resolutions. So how about all of you? And we'd love to hear in the chat if you want to let us know, how do you feel about resolutions? Do you make them? Do you love them? Maybe you hate them. Maybe you don't even bother. Maybe you made one already and you let it go. So let's see what you think. Throw that in the chat. We'll be watching that to see how everyone feels about them. So Helene, how do you feel about resolutions? What's your take?
I feel like it always creates a lot of pressure to set up this resolution, and it's usually a little unpleasant to start the process, but I feel like sometimes we need to do that, and then we feel so good. Now we have something written and we feel like, okay, let's make that happen. And it's always important, I think, to make that time. And we are all very busy, and I hope that session this morning, in case you had not even thought about making a resolution for the new year, is going to give you the time and the strategy to back up a plan and be like, okay, I can do that. Let's do that together. So I really hope it's going to be a good moment for everyone, even if you don't usually do it. Melanie is like a crazy example. She has like this yearly resolution, monthly one, daily one. Not everybody can follow her lead, but let's get inspired and let's try to make this momentum during the session. We really want the session to be interactive with you guys. So as Melanie was saying, we're going to monitor the chat. Please share your thoughts, even if they feel like a little, raw and things like that. It's okay. We are here to work through that process and give you good tips about strategizing you reaching your goals. I think it's
Yes. And I'm looking at the chat and it looks like quite a mixed bag. There are some people who don't make them. There's some people who make resolutions or goals for the year. Folks who are saying they like to call them intentions instead of resolutions, which I really love. Somebody says, I wake up in the morning and I kind of try to visualize my day and these are the things I want to accomplish. I love that as well. So I do want to share, so Helene and I are going to share some of our own kind of like goals throughout this presentation to bring this content a little bit more to life. So I do want to share a success that I had. Last year, I made a New Year's resolution that I wanted to run at least 1 mile a day, every day in 2021.
That was a goal.
That was a goal, yes. And I was able to do 364 days. So I missed just one day. And I was on the couch. I wasn't feeling well. So, and I really throughout that day, I was like, oh, maybe I can get up and do that run. And then I'd move and I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. So anyway, some people might say I failed because I didn't do it every day, but I only missed one. So I feel pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you. So we will be talking about some of our personal goals today, our professional goals, some goals that go, kind of go in both directions. And you'll notice that while we work through our slides and our activities, we don't have any slides on SMART goals. And we did that for a reason. We realized that many people have heard of SMART goals. There's so many resources out there, articles, videos, different courses you can take about writing SMART goals. And so we decided that we were going to take this in a slightly different direction. But we do want to state that, SMART goals are a great solid base and a foundation for when you're thinking about what kind of goals you want to set for yourself. So I'm going to throw that SMART into the chat. So if you're not familiar with it, so the SMART kind of acronym, S is specific. So we want our goals to be specific. We want them to be measurable. We want them to be achievable, relevant and realistic, and then time bound or time sensitive. So from my resolution last year, to run at least 1 mile every day for the year, I think that was a pretty smart goal that I set for myself, because I didn't say I want to run more. I said I want to run at least 1 mile every day for the year. So it was specific, it was measurable. In fact, I had a Google spreadsheet where I tracked my days. It was something that was attainable for me and realistic. And then I had a year to do it. So SMART goals are certainly a great base, but again, we're going to take this in a different direction. And so I'm going to hand things over to Helene to kick us off.
Yeah. So on the next slide, that's Melanie should be able to.
There you go.
Yep. So we're going to organize the presentation with 3 general chapters. First, we're going to work through defining your goals, and we'll talk about professional goals, but also personal one. We will ask you to reflect on your values and strength, and Melanie will go over that chapter to really make you understand why it's so important to look at the values and strengths that you have. And then we'll do a little bit of refining to make sure that things are aligned, and we'll talk to you about that because it's very important to make sure that your goals are rooted into your values, your strength, and your why. And that's going to be a very exciting chapter here. And then we'll give you some tips to thrive and to really make things happen. They're going to be pretty simple, easy to remember, and so powerful. So it's going to be about really remembering these basic principles around your goals once you have them defined. So let's get started. I hope you're excited about the presentation. So first, we're going to define our goals. As I said, we'll talk about the professional one. It could be about professional projects, career evolution, networking, and things like that. And we'll dive also into the personal goals. And as Melanie said, we'll talk about some of our professional goals and our personal one. Can you move to the next slide, Melanie? Thank you. So in your profession, okay, let's talk about that. What are you trying or looking to achieve? Are you trying to improve in your current goal and get some knowledge that maybe you're missing? Are you trying to obtain a promotion? That could be your next step. Do you want to grow your network of resources, of people that you could reach out to? And I'm sure that if you're here today, that's a good place to be. Are you trying to increase your professional impact? Are you trying to really reach out to more and more people? Are you trying to gain a new skill? Maybe this is something that you really like looking forward to. Are you thinking about maybe obtaining a master, a new certification? There's tons of stuff that you can do online. So maybe this is something that you've been thinking in the back of your mind. And maybe today is a good moment to really say, is it something I want to try to achieve during my 2022 year? And are you potentially also refining and redefining your working identity? It has been a very interesting topic for me to redefine working identity. It's something that we are actually going to talk a little bit more a little later in the presentation. It's very important to make sure that you are happy with what you're doing. And so maybe sometimes we need to refine a little bit what we're doing, how we're doing it. So next slide. All right, so I am super excited to present to you that slide. The drawings are not from me, they are from Ellen Tupper and Sarah Ellis, which are fantastic women, British women, and they have a book that is called The Squiggly Carrier. And Melanie and I, before preparing that presentation, we both had heard about these women and about their work and their ideas about career. So basically, what we wanted to point out to you is that in the past, but also for some people, career progression really looked like a very linear progression of things, a very organized and predictable step 1, step 2, and step 3, something that is really like a corporate ladder, okay? And this is how people used to see promotion and potential next step. All right. And according to Sarah Ellis and Ellen Tupper, you know, maybe you want to get away from that model that might not fit really so much everybody. Okay. Because in many industry and now in many lives, you know, things are much more fluid. And even if when you look at your career in the past as like a corporate ladder where there's an obvious next step, in career today now, it's like you can take a right turn, you can take a left turn, and there's no right there's no right or wrong options. It's all about fluidity, looking at opportunity, looking at where is my curiosity bringing me, and how do you make sense to the next step? How do you create your own story, your own career? And I feel like in the current world right now, there are so many people that are just moving fluidly from one position to another, bringing a nice flavor, bringing some ideas from a prior industry, and all of that is and I think with Melanie, this is what we had been really interested about, is like it gives also some freedom about what you could be doing next. And we want to give you that freedom and that kind of like, hey, go explore what could be your next step, because there's not obviously a correct next step. Okay. And so I think it's important to really feel like this is a way of thinking, a way of looking at your own career. So we really enjoyed that drawing from Ellen Tupper and Sarah Ellis. And we hope that introducing that notion to you is going to help you to think about your career in a more interesting way and more like, oh, what can I do now? What do I want to do? How can I bring, you know, my past story, my past experience to my next position? Great. So now that we've talked about it a little bit, of course, we haven't been talking about professional growth for like a full hour, but how about you take a pen and a piece of paper and you just write down, we're going to give you like 2 minutes to just write down your professional goals. Like the first one that are coming to your mind, just write them down. And then that can be a beginning of defining things for yourself. Really take your pen and your piece of paper. Don't start to check your emails. Just take a moment to think about what is something you would like to be working towards for the 2022 year. And if you want to share it in the chat, please go ahead. And as we're starting seeing some kind of like ideas about professional goal, maybe Melanie, do you want to say something about one of your professional goals that you have in mind?
Yeah, I have some professional goals that are very specific to my role at my institution. I see a lot of people saying they're interested in the CRA certification. And in my role at UW-Madison, I'm looking to actually create a certificate program for research administrators just at our institution. That is a big goal that I have, kind of very work related, specific to my role. But I see a lot of really great thoughts coming in. People have their goals for the year.
Yeah.
What's one of your professional goals?
So I've dived into that, and I have a lot of professional goals that are really sticking to my current position. But one thing that I really want to do, and I guess I'm making myself accountable for that, is that I want to develop more professional development tools in my bucket. I want to read more. I want to come up with more singular ideas, and I want to be able to have more impact to help people in their professional development. And that's really something that I've been very passionate about. And so it's written on my piece of paper, and I want to find my voice as someone who can help other people in their professional development. So that is my goal. All right. I love what I see in the chat box. Thank you so much, everyone, for writing them down. Some people mentioned, so the CRA certification, getting a promotion, learning and expanding their knowledge, getting opportunity for promotion, knowing the ins and outs of grants administration programs. So that's wonderful. I like the fact that everybody has been taking a chance at writing them down. And so now that you have them written, hopefully really on a piece of paper, we're going to help you to build up a strategy around that. So let's move on to our next slide. Yes. Yeah. And I think this is your turn, right, Melanie?
Yeah,
okay.
It is. Thank you. So thanks again for sharing, some of you sharing your goals, your professional goals. Hopefully you wrote that down on a piece of paper, because we are going to go back to these things that we've been exploring today, as Helene mentioned. But we also want to talk a little bit about personal goals as well. So we're thinking professional goals, but also our personal goals. We want to give you an opportunity to reflect on those. So perhaps you do have a list of intentions for this next year. Maybe it's around your work-life balance. I mean, what does that even look like anymore? Maybe you have goals around family, health. Maybe you want to travel more this coming year or plan for future travel. Long-term projects. Maybe you want to save money, financial goals. I live in a house that's over 100 years old, so we always have home repairs to look forward to. So maybe I have some projects in mind. So think about some of your personal goals. We're going to give you an opportunity to reflect on those as well. But we wanted to have you consider a couple of things. When you're thinking about your goals, we would like you to start considering what your priorities are. So what's most important to you? Those items should really be popping to the top of your list. sometimes we create goals based on what we have been told to believe we should be doing, right? What a parent or a friend or our boss or society tells us. But what about you? The most important person in this conversation is you. These are your goals. And if your goals don't align with your personal priorities, then it's going to be much harder for you to achieve them. So really thinking about what it is you want, and then also considering how we can make space for these things that are most important to us. So in life, at home, at work, what do we really want to be in charge of? I mean, how often do we ask ourselves that? And then also, what can we delegate to others? Freeing up time and energy to focus on our priorities will help us in achieving those goals. So really considering where we want to spend our time and energy. There may be things that we're doing that really don't align with our priorities anymore. Perhaps you sit on a committee at work or in the community, and that committee drains your energy. You don't look forward to it. It no longer interests you. Maybe it did before, but it no longer serves you. There's somebody else who would probably love to take your place. So perhaps you could give that up. Also, maybe you started a hobby or a class and that no longer serves you. I say, quit. Our priorities change, our interests change, our goals change, and we need to make space for them. So I like to say and tell myself not to believe that saying that winners never quit, because in fact, winners know best when to quit to focus their energy on something else. So thinking about our priorities, thinking about creating space for what's important to us are all part of this, goal setting process. Helene, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I feel like I think you bring a very interesting point. We hadn't a chance to talk about that when we prepare it, but like making space for your goals and kind of like giving up on some other stuff, and it's okay. And I feel like you free yourself. You need to say, hey, you know what? Like one thing that I've done, and I was not even planning on talking to you about that, but I felt like I need more time in my week. There are some priorities that are taking up a lot of time. I'm going to delegate a little bit the cleaning of the house, and that's just going to be okay. I have to just do it because I just need a little bit more time for myself. And I felt like there are things that you need to be kind of like, okay, I'm ready for saying like no more of that. And maybe, as you're saying with work, maybe there are things that you're doing and maybe someone else would be so excited to be taking care of that instead of you. It's like, give them the opportunity to shine and give yourself some time back. It's very, very, very important. And I feel like, as we'll talk more about that, like reflecting on your life priorities is going to be very important, because you want to make sure that what your goal is reflecting that life priority, because it's going to be easier for you to follow through your goals if it actually aligns with that life priority that you have. And you just have to be okay with what is important to you. And it doesn't matter what other people are thinking. It's like you need to make a choice and a commitment for your own life. So it's important, yeah.
Yes, and I just want to point out there's a great little back and forth in the chat where Audrey has said, but if our supervisor determines our job performance, don't we need to align our goals with what they want? Which is, of course, in professional goals, we're looking at what is our job role, what are the goals of the unit. But then Mindy also said a good supervisor should work with you to achieve your goals while also aligning with the unit's goals. So thank you, Mindy, for responding there, because I think you hit it on the head. Depending on where we are, our workloads at work, what's going on in our units, of course, sometimes it seems like, how could I possibly just, think about, what is it that I want to do? It's like, it's kind of like, there's so many conversations about following your passion and following your dream and like letting everything else go. And I don't want us to get too far down that hole, but I do believe that knowing what it is we really enjoy and what we want, at least in the back of our heads, will give us opportunities when we do have an opportunity to shift our role, or there's something, there's a project that comes up and we think that actually really aligns with my priorities. and my strengths, and I want to, have a conversation about pursuing that. So I love having it in the back of my mind, what it is that I'm really hoping for the future and what I could possibly achieve. So I appreciate that conversation in the chat.
Melanie, maybe if you hit the next slide, I think this is about like making sure people write down their personal goal, at least one of them.
Yeah, so we want to give folks an opportunity to reflect on personal goals. So we'll give you another minute or two to get that piece of paper and that pen out and think about some things maybe outside of work that you are interested in pursuing this next year. So we'll give you a moment to do that.
And then when you're ready, don't hesitate to share that in the chat. Brittany is really like coming up with a long list already.
Yes, I love that.
Oh yes, Tiffany, plan a solo trip. That's a good one.
Who moved to Florida? Okay.
Yes. Engaging, yes. Engaging more time in self-care. Yeah. Pay off student loans, that's a big one. Thank you for sharing that. Run a 5K, yes, Vicky. Oh, Lacey Rea is saying like she want to set up like an Etsy store, building a yoga practice. Woohoo!
Ooh, somebody's writing a book. Wow, there's
who's writing a book? Oh, Rick. Oh, I have to say that's one of my goals, but in like the 5 next year, not right now. I don't feel ready for that.
5-year plan, 10-year plan.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. One day.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone who's contributed to the chat. Even if you didn't, I hope you had an opportunity to write something down on your piece of paper, because again, we're going to go through a practice of looking at those goals and refining them a little bit, looking closer at them. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is our why. And this is where we really start to reflect on the goals that we have in mind, what we want to accomplish. And this is an important way to set ourselves up for success. So this can help discover our reasons for hoping to achieve these goals. If we can't explain why we're doing something, chances are we'll not commit the time and energy needed to be successful. So how do we get to our root motivation? Is we ask this simple question of why. And you might have used this technique of asking why to get to the root cause of a problem, but you can also use it to get to the root cause of your motivation to do anything. I don't know, Helene, you have a 4-year-old, I have an 8-year-old at home. Anybody who's ever had a conversation with a toddler knows this question of why on repeat. And I have to say, if you've ever, sat down and really kind of explored that, like actually answering the whys that come, you can get to some really deep conversations with a 3 or 4-year-old. So, I mean, it really is quite amazing what we can get to when we start removing those layers. So if we look at this example on the slide to the right, here's an example of kind of getting to the root motivation of somebody's goal. And I think I saw this in one of the chats that somebody wanted to own their own business or start a business. So here we ask ourselves, if that's my goal, why do I want to do this? And then we see it'll allow me to have greater control over how I spend my time. The next, why do I want to do this? Because I can have more flexibility in my life. Why do I want to do this? Because I'll be able to work from home. Why do I want to do this? I will be able to spend more time with my son or daughter. And then why do I want to do this? Because I want to support my family, because supporting my family is the most important thing to me. So this practice of asking ourselves why, gets to really the root cause or the root motivation for why we've set this goal for ourselves. And so what we're going to do now is we want you to look at one of those goals that you wrote down, either the professional one or the personal one. And we want to give you a couple of minutes to practice doing this, asking yourself why.
And one thing I want to say is like, don't put too much pressure. Like, just ask yourself why and just let things come out of your mouth and kind of like observe what you're saying and just say, and why? And why do I want that? Just like, and just let it go. Like, try not to control it. Let your subconscious speak, and then you're going to see, you're going to get to the final answer and you'll be like, oh, wow, in like a couple of seconds. But you just need to just go through the exercise, give as soon as possible an answer, just let it flow.
Yep. So I'll give you a minute or so to do that. See what comes up.
You can do it.
Okay. So, so hopefully you got something out of that. I know I was practicing this. Helene and I were both doing this separately in preparation for the presentation. And wow, I mean, I went in a variety of different directions. Every time the why came up, it was really quite a practice, but it really gets to our values. It really gets to those core values of why we want to do something. And you'll likely discover that your root reason for wanting to achieve something is tied to these life's values. So here's just a list of some values that you might have thought about or that might have come up for you. I was going through the whys of a personal goal that I have, and it got to values around being authentic, being more present, being more involved in life, being more free and spontaneous. So both professionally and personally, those things are really values that I personally have. So, to set ourselves up for success, we want to align ourselves with these values. And then another practice is to start to uncover your strengths that may support you in these goals. Because this practice of identifying your strengths will give you power and self-assurance to believe that you can reach these goals that you've set for yourself. We're not going to give you time, to kind of write down what your strengths are. But as an example, from my running goal last year, one of my strengths is I'm quite organized and I like to keep records. And so I mentioned I had an Excel spreadsheet. I enjoyed filling that out. I color coded it. It was beautiful. I didn't share it with anyone, but I enjoyed it.
So I have to say, for me, creativity is a very important value and a curiosity. And one of my strengths is also I'm organized, but not like you. And so when I also have a personal goal of going running once a week only. And so yesterday I was like, I need to do my tracking sheet. And I came up with my tracking sheet where it's, oh no, you can't see because of my fake background. Oh, no way.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, it's okay. But then I wrote run and I put all of my dates of the Sundays of the year. And then I'm starting to color them as soon as I manage to run that day. And I feel like it's a nice way of like, you're going to see everything aligns together. The value, your strength, your goals, everything. When everything is ties up, it just flows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thinking about, what it is that'll help you, what will support you, and that will build your confidence again around meeting those goals. And so this is really the refining stage. We ask ourselves why, we make sure that our values are aligned with our goals, and then we continue to refine these goals until they really align with our priorities, our strengths, our values. And this, as Helene, I think, has said to me, is the master recipe for success. We had a video, but we don't have much time to show it. So we're going to skip it. But there's a quote in this video that I really love. And this, Michael Jr. is a comedian, but he says at the end, he says that your what becomes more impactful when you're walking towards or in your purpose, because you know what the why is behind that what. So there's a lot of strength in understanding your whys. Oops. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Helene. And I think you're muted.
I was just, I wanted to share with everybody the link of the video, and I was trying to get it, and then I believe this is the correct link.
Okay.
Yes. So that if you want to watch that video, I love the sentence that Melanie said at the end, and really the video is going to illustrate that very well. So because we only have that much time with you guys, we want it now that you have your goals, you understand that your values, your strength, everything needs to be aligned, and we really encourage you to dive deep into like finding your why. And now what we want to give you are just like these tips around backing up your goals and making them happen. So we're going to go over these tips one after the other. We have 9 total, and apparently an even number like that are better. So let's go and go over them. So the first one is that you're going to need to break down your big goals into manageable steps. Okay, this is not the big revelation, okay, but this is very important that you approach your goal and say, okay, so what do I need? How can I break that down? Because as the saying goes, you can only eat an elephant piece by piece. So that's exactly the same way with your goals. So what do you need to do first? Maybe it's just like downloading an app. Maybe it's buying a new pair of running shoes. Maybe it's whatever you need. And then what's next? Manage to do something maybe in your daily day, in your routine, something that you can just repeat over and over that is going to help you achieve your goals. Okay, so very simple steps, action items that you can just go and do and make yourself accountable by tracking them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. The second tip we have for you sounds simple, but believe in yourself. If you don't believe that you can accomplish the goal that you've written down, if you really truly think, oh, this is such a stretch, I'm not going to be able to do it, then you really have 2 options. The first is to change that belief, right? But really have a stronger belief you can accomplish it, or change your goal, because maybe that goal really is too ambitious. So for my running goal, I said at least 1 mile every day. I'd rather run 3, but I knew I would not be able to do that. So I broke it down. I made it slightly smaller. So you can alter your goal slightly to make it truly achievable in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Then tip number 3, aim for good results. Don't aim for perfect one. It's okay if your goal is to go running every day and you miss some days. It's okay. Perfection is going to weigh you down, is going to be the enemy of progression, because you want something that is so perfect that it creates so much pressure on you. It's like, okay, it might not be perfect, but at least it's going to be done in some capacity. So really try to release this idea of perfection, because that creates too much pressure on yourself. So aim for good results.
Yes. And then tip number 4 is remain patient and kind with yourself when you don't yet see the expected results. So having self-compassion for yourself is really important, because if we fail or we have a hurdle to jump, we don't think, oh, poor me. We think, oh, well, everyone struggles. Everyone has hurdles. that's what it means to be human. And that radically alters how we relate to our goal and our progress. When we can say, oh, this is normal, this is a part of what it means to be human and have goals, then it opens up the door for us to really grow through that goal and through that experience. So remain patient and kind.
Tip number 5, keep your worst enemy at bay. Okay, so you need first to identify who are your goal gremlins, who are these enemies, you know, this chatter in your mind or the fatigue you could have, everything that could prevent you from taking action. You need to know what these enemies are, and you need to tackle them before they show up. Because if you know yourself well and you kind of like do a little bit of like, let's look inward a little bit, you know what your worst enemies are. In my case, I am very anxious. I know that it has always been like that. And with COVID, all right, it's just worse. So I know that this is my worst enemy because it's going to prevent me always, it's going to keep me back into my seat and like not doing anything. So I know that in order to keep my anxiety level low, I need to be practicing yoga in the morning. I need to be doing meditation, and I need to be, you know, exercising to release pressure. And I feel like this is important for me to know that. And I have taken the step to avoid this anxiety to be controlling my life. And I feel like I had to be honest with myself. And I think we really want to encourage you to look at your worst enemy and try to set up a strategy around keeping them away from preventing you from doing your goals and from reaching your goals.
Yes. Goal gremlins. I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so number 6, have a backup plan set up. So plan for what you'll tell yourself, what you'll do when things get harder than expected. I feel like we're all so familiar with this in the last 2 years, having to be flexible, right? Knowing that, not knowing sometimes what's around the corner and how you're going to be able, how much time you're going to be able to have that day. So say you wake up, you don't wake up, you miss your alarm at 6 a.m. because you overslept and you really meant to, you know, read that book or do that meditation or get outside for the run. What's your backup plan? I would say the first thing I would do is look at my calendar and find 20 minutes during the day to get that in. So just because I missed it at 6 a.m. doesn't mean I scrap my whole day. What's my backup plan? What am I going to tell myself? Just because I missed a day doesn't mean I failed at my goal and I'm just going to scrap it, right? I'm going to continue to move forward. So have a plan and know that it's normal and human to have these hurdles come up.
Yeah, and just just with the example that Melanie gave, many times I didn't hear my alarm, I didn't wake up, and I said, "It's okay, Len. Tomorrow will be better, and tomorrow I'll do it." I didn't even try to fit 20 minutes in my day. I said, I'll start over tomorrow. It's going to be fine. And that's a way of like being kind with yourself. Don't like, you know, beat yourself up for like you miss one day. And that's what, it's okay. So tip number 7, release the pressure. If you don't reach your goals, you are not a bad person. You are worth anyway. You are going through the process. And, you know, if you don't run every day, it's okay. We are not encouraging you to be lazy, but to be kind and to say, okay, I'm aiming for good results, not perfect one. Okay, you're not going to get a medal because you woke up every day, you know. So try to release the pressure. That will allow you to be more resilient, to be more creative, to find ways around difficulties. All right, so really focus on the fact that you are worth and that you are not a bad person if you don't do something. You don't keep yourself thinking, I should have done it, I could have done better. It's just like, fine, don't compare yourself to others. Just keep standing up and trying to move towards your goal.
Yeah, I love that one. And then number 8, actually, this one's my favorite, which is to reach out to others to share your progress, your difficulties, your doubts. Share your goals with other people. Find your accountability buddies. I think even just saying your goals out loud, or the folks who put theirs in the chat, hey, you shared that with somebody. You know, tell somebody on the bus, what your goal is, somebody who will listen, not to the point of nausea, of course, but sprinkle that information out there. Your accountability buddies could be somebody at work, a friend, a family member, a mentor. I believe that the more the merrier for sharing your goals, because it creates some accountability. And a support system. I see that, Melinda. Yes, a support system too. Somebody who's cheering for you, who wants you to succeed.
And then last tip, always celebrate your small wins. Every little thing you've done, just celebrate. Do this little dance, raise your arms up, just say, yes, I did it. Like seriously, I've been doing like just waking up. If I wake up on time at my 5:30 alarm, I go into the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and then I say, yes, I did it. I didn't snooze. I'm not in the bed. I'm here. And I feel like this is very important. All of your little wins, like let's say you said, hey, I'm going to attend this frac session in the morning on professional development. Yes, I've done it. Celebrate it. It can be a post-it that you put somewhere and you say, I did it. You just share it with someone. Again, your accountability buddies, very important. Just like celebrate, because there's so much value that is created by celebrating what you've just achieved. Okay. So don't miss that part. Don't think, oh, there's no need to celebrate that. I just woke up again at 5:30. No, just do it. Just celebrate it. It's very important. And raise your arms, because that's celebratory things. Your brain is really getting some nice molecules from that sensation. So it's very important.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have a poll. We are curious which tips are the most valuable to you today. So I think I can.
So Elizabeth should be. No, that's the wrong. No, that's the wrong poll. Hold on, guys.
Okay, I see it.
You have the poll?
I can launch it. Here we go.
All right. So we want you to choose the one that, when you heard them, you were like, oh man, that's such a good one. I think that will make a difference. So just choose one thing, one of the goals, or multiple one. You can choose multiple one. And so that we have an idea of what has been more impactful to you. We try to come up and give you like kind of like nice tips that our work, Melanie and I, all of our reflection, everything was coming up with these tips, and we hope that also the part on like making sure that your goals, value, and strength are aligned. We really hope that is going to make a difference, and that's going to help you to have reachable goals that are anchored and rooted into you. They are not the goals of your neighbors. They are not the goals of your husband or significant others. They are your goals that are meaningful to you. So it's important to remember that. So what do we have as people are choosing?
Yeah, I think I'll just leave it up for a couple more seconds, because there are people who are still voting, but then I'll end the poll and share the results so we can see.
Absolutely.
If you haven't clicked yet,
go ahead, select one or two, or all of them. That's fine too.
Okay.
Thank you, Matilda.
I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. So hopefully everyone can see them.
Remind yourself of your why. Yes, I love that. Aim for good results, not perfect one. Absolutely. You'll be so much more resilient if you're not aiming for perfect results. And always celebrate the small wins. And I talked about raising your arms up, but it can be go and enjoy a coffee, take a day off, something meaningful, like just do something, because otherwise there's so much work we put into these things that we need to celebrate, because otherwise nobody else will do it. So Cora said we do a little dance. Yes,
I love that. Do a little dance.
All right.
Well, let's see. we have, I know, just about 3 minutes left, but we'll watch the chat or see if anyone has anything they want to add. I really highly recommend, if you can, scrolling through this chat. There's a lot there, but some people were putting in links to maybe TED Talks or books or podcasts or different other resources that folks are aware of. So gosh, there's just so much to share about this topic of goal setting. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're not even saying with Melanie that we have like, this is a compilation of a lot of things here, and some of these tips hopefully will make a difference in your goal settings. And feel free to reach out to us and email us and say, hey, I've set up that goals. I'm making myself accountable to you, Melanie, and to you, Ellen, and I make that happen. I feel like it's very important to share your goals with someone. It makes them really real, and it gives you a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah, and I have to say, even Helene and I we do this with each other. We both run mentoring programs at our institutions, and we meet periodically and talk about what we're working on, share our goals. And it's, I'm so grateful for that relationship. And that's kind of why we're here, I guess, that brought us here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talked about our personal goals and Melanie's running every day, I'm like, well, I can't do that, but you know what? That's fine. And I'm going to do my run every Sunday for 2 hours, and that's going to work with me. And I feel like this is important to, brainstorm with other people, share your goals and refine them, and just go for that instead of maybe not even taking a chance on anything. So, oh, Jennifer, I think that she's going to save the chat. So perfect. So we can have additional resources. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I see a lot of positive feedback. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the session, for, going through the flow with us. And hopefully we want to hear your success story. You were like, I snoozed this morning. I didn't wake up. I didn't do that. And I'm still going to try tomorrow. Yes, we have a mentoring program. And for people who are going to be actually at the Nkura FRA, Melanie and I are going to be talking about mentoring program. I don't remember which day, but we are lined up there. So thank you so much for your positive feedback, everyone.
Yeah, I really, really love seeing everyone's goals that were coming through, and so much that we're all working towards. And of course, our goals are all different because we're all different and unique. And I really hope that everyone can achieve what you've been hoping to achieve this year, and that you can use some of these tips that we've shared today. It's been lovely spending time with all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for giving us the opportunity to talk about that at the FRAC. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And everyone, please feel free to leave your comments and accolades for our speakers in the chat, because we are going to save it. So thank you so much. Another great session. Thank you.
Woo! We made it.
We did it.
Yes. So important. Raise your arm, guys. Yeah, there's a whole science behind that.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.